everyone, welcome to my Ivy and the Inky Butterfly comparison video. So I have my two copies here that I've completed. I've put them side by side. I think that's the best way to film it. I've had to move my tripod up much higher, so I might be a bit quieter because I'm a bit further away from the microphone, but hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. And we're going to have a little look through. Now this is my original copy, which is actually much neater and tidier than this copy, which is a bit battered. And interestingly, this original copy has a sort of coppery foil, and the newer one has gold foil. But you can see I haven't coloured the front, so let's just dive in and have a look and compare the two first pages. So you can see in my original copies they're actually coming unglued here, which is interesting. They're both UK copies though. And you can see how very completely differently I've coloured it. This one I've done more of a proper better looking gold effect than this crown, but I actually rather like these colours. I'm trying to work out what pencils they may have been. That sort of purpley bluey colour is really pretty. I wish I knew. It's lovely, but I have no idea. Let's turn over. Now in this copy of my book I did my butterflies the same all the way through. So the colour scheme that I used here with the gold wings, gold outside, which is how that's described with lots of colour, and I sort of copied it into the smaller ones in a more basic way. So here we've got our red, blue, yellow, green, purple, and what I did was I would start with the red and then go blue, yellow, green, and then if there was no room I wouldn't go on and do the purple and the other colours. So I did them the same. Whereas in this book I just decided to colour each butterfly however I fancied whenever I did it. A tip though, if you want to keep them all the same, note it down. What I did was I noted down in my sketchbook which colours I used from which pencil set, so that when I came to colour a butterfly next I always knew. By the time I finished the book I remembered, but I always knew what I was doing. I actually really like that, and I wrote my name in. Didn't write my name in that one. In a pen as well. It's very brave of me. Now Ivy's page here, I remember doing it and then coming back and reworking it because it was a little bit pale. I wasn't very happy with it, but this is how Ivy looks throughout the book, coloured with Staedtler pencils. And this Ivy I wanted to do very differently. I knew how I'd done this vaguely. There's a little bit of a background in there, but here I wanted to make a really standout background, which is what I did. And of course there's the background around here as well, which I didn't have on that one. The strawberry cake is reasonably similar. I did little yellow bottoms to my strawberries here to make them look a little bit less ripe, which was a bit different. Didn't do that in this one because actually I didn't think that looked very good. But there we go. And here I've used pink for my flowers, which strawberry flowers are white, so here I've used a sort of cream colour instead, sort of cheat for white. Now the trinkets room I've always found rather daunting, but I'm having a little look at the different things and they're quite, there's some similarities. The map is quite similar, but then maybe it just would be. My metallics aren't so effective here than here, I don't think, even though they're not that good in this one either. And I've done green beads here, look, and purple here. The honey pot's very similar, but some things I think, like the clock, you know, it sort of calls for particular colours, and that's just how I did it, you know. Now the Wonder Room has always been a rather daunting page for me. This one was a video series, which made it easier because I just had to get on with it, and this one wasn't. But it is, there are some similarities, but as again, certain things like, you know, the flamingos, they're going to call for certain colours, whereas other things like the lampshade aren't. But and here I did the furniture all different colours, whereas here I kept it the same, but it's quite pale in this one. Now very different here. Actually rather nice colours here. So we've got a sort of orangey red with no, a sort of orangey yellow, sorry, with a Venetian red and a red violet, I think. A very interesting combination. There's our butterfly. This was the first one I did the first time I did the butterfly to establish what colours I was going to do for the rest. Whereas this butterfly, I just used some black widows and had some fun with it. And the same with this, I wanted the border to look quite intense in colour, I guess. And so we've got our butterfly, and this is where I started to think, do I really want the butterfly the same colour everywhere? Because it doesn't match any of the rest of the picture. And so I was beginning to think, I don't like that idea of doing the butterfly the same. And so that's why I didn't do it like that in this one. This one I wanted to do more magical look to the page. And this is quite interesting. This is similar-ish, these two, I guess, because it's got a lot of green. But here I would try to make this look like wood. It actually looks like very scruffy scribble, but you know. Oh, that's pretty, isn't it? But I like that page. I really like this. So neat as well. Neat and tidy, really neatly coloured. Whereas that's really messy, I think. And that one's really neat. Interesting. It's also interesting the paper feels really different. This one's much smoother than this one. Ah, this is an interesting one to compare. Oh, look how interesting. So these are the same, which isn't really similar. It's not surprising because that's the colour I think they are. But look, these are the same colour too. But we've got a few differences. These are sort of reddish, and these orange ones are a bit yak. But and I've done a pencil background there, and I can see what I've done here is I've gone across and then down, and this one I've just gone across, and it's a little bit messy. And this one I've used pastel, which is much easier. Aha, Ivy's at the door. So this one I did the internal room in black and white to make it easier to colour and to emphasise the outside world. But actually this outside world is much more bright, interestingly, than this one. This one's a bit more earthy. This one's more three-dimensional though. I tried to make it look like the leaves were sitting in front of the wall, whereas this one I didn't really know about doing shadows and things. These two, look at the colour. They're the same. How very interesting. This is slightly different, but they're really similar. And of course I had to do that butterfly in that colour that doesn't match, whereas I matched the butterfly into this one. Of course I much prefer that one. Now our sweet peas, these are much darker on my original copy, which is rather pretty. And I think, yes, I followed a tutorial for this bee that Johanna Basford did on her YouTube channel. So, and it's got pen in it and it was a bit scary, but I followed that tutorial, whereas this one I just did on my own. Now here I coloured these blue because I thought they were forget-me-nots. Here I didn't want to do them as forget-me-nots, so I just did them in a different colour. Not very keen on either of these pages, really. Well, we have this page which I really like. The only problem with this page is there's so much yellow because you've got dandelions and buttercups and they're all yellow. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing it both times. But I can see that actually my original post box looks a bit better, even though I thought it was better when I did that one. That's interesting. Now, I was saying about how with this page, I was saying in my original flip through that I got bored of doing gold borders, so I wanted to do green, but this looks so much better with the gold border, I have to say. However, my background is yellow pencil, and it's got loads of white gaps in it everywhere that I can see really clearly. But I really like my mushrooms, they're so nice. And that one is coloured much better, I have to say, I think. Now these are quite similar, aren't they? It's a bit more vibrant. Ah, this pen. There's gel pens on the flowers, doing the dots and the things. So that's why that one's more vibrant. Now we have Ivy Thinking. Now, I didn't know what to do for this one, so I did a really limited colour palette on this page. I think it was very effective. Whereas here I did a bit more of a mix, but I like both. Although Ivy's dirty face in that one, it bothers me. Now, Mouse here, I had seen Chris Cheng's version of this by now, and I tried to copy it a little bit. So if you look at these leaves and these leaves, you can see that there are similarities between the colours used. But this one I actually followed Chris Cheng's video, and I couldn't do Mouse in the same way because I was doing Mouse the same colours all the way through. So I had to do Mouse in Mouse's colours, if you know what I mean. Now this page was one of my favourites in this book, and I kept thinking about it when I coloured this one, and I was daunted because I knew that this one was really stunning, just, you know, jump off the page, pretty, and I didn't know how to do this one to make it compete, so I decided to just completely forget that one and just have some fun with that one, which is what I did. But here I have to say I prefer this one to that version. But this one was a series of videos. This one was just me colouring away. And I also prefer this to this. But, you know, the gold doesn't, there's no white in the gold. So it doesn't look so shiny, it just looks yellow. Now, Ivy in her boat I've coloured a lot of times because it was a free download page, that Johanna released. So I've done her a lot. But I have to say I like both versions. This one is done, I'd say that's probably polychromos, and this one is Bambino crayons. So quite different materials. But the background's pretty on this one with a bit of a darker at the bottom. And then the fish are really quite similar, and the heron. Now when I did this page, I remembered that I'd done this multicoloured and that I didn't like it. But now I much prefer that, I have to say. I think it's much more interesting, much brighter, that sort of thing. And I really like the way I did the water as well. So that's interesting. Oh yes, this page. Now this page is very daunting. Let's talk about this one first actually. Here I tried to do gems and a gold border, but I haven't quite got the shine right on my metallics. This page I followed a Helen Elliston tutorial for multicoloured sort of filigree. Now this page, there's someone called Moskaliva, I think, and I saw her version of this page on Instagram, I think, and I tried to copy it. So there's no video that she didn't do a video, so I just tried to copy her version. And the background is done in a red Posca pen, and then there's a bit of deep red, or one of the darker polychromos reds around each item to make it look shadowed. This one, the background is done in pencil, and I think that pencil background was actually quicker. Posca pen takes a long time because you have to fill in every little teeny bit, and I can still see some places where I've missed. As with the pencil, it seems to be slightly more forgiving, and I used a Prismacolor indigo and a Polychromos dark indigo for that one. So what I've noticed about the difference between these two is that this one has a lot less white pen on it. It has some on the gemstones, but not really on any of the metallics, whereas here I put it on the metal as well. I don't know which is preferable really, but that's that. I know this page took me a lot longer than this one, but because I was inexperienced, like this spoon has got blues in as well, I think as well as greys and things like that. Now I've never know what colour to colour houses. This one, yeah, that colour, the roof and the walls don't match in my opinion. Anyway, but this background look is done with a pencil, and there's blending solution on it. I can tell because it's quite smooth, whereas I didn't even bother on this one. I like the water in both, and I've used white pen over the black in the water here. I probably should have done that here too. I know this was done with Derwent. I'm wondering what this was done with. Look at those, really pretty. I don't know what colour, what pencils I used. Ah yeah, I remember this page. It's weird, it's got some green splodge and I don't know what that is. Anyway, here I matched up the two pages as you can see, and I used black and purple Posca pen in the background. The silver is too pale in my opinion, and there's not enough white, there's no white. And the same with the gold, there's no white to make it look so shiny as how I do it now, with I leave a bit of white spaces. But these two I didn't try and match the pages, I just wanted them to be different. But actually looks quite nice matching, doesn't it? Now we have our brooches, and I know that some of these are the same. This is very different, but this one looked really similar. I couldn't think of any other way to do it apart from making it look like an enamel brooch, and somehow blue just felt like the right colour. There's tutorials for these on my channel. Look, these two are really similar as well, and those, look at that. And Pika. Now it's not surprising that Pika looks similar because I looked up how magpies look. I probably did that there as well. But we've got an orange and sort of olivey green leaf, which is a bit different to this one. And of course for the white areas, there is a colour there. I don't know if it's ivory or warm grey light one, warm grey one, or something like that, I'm not sure. Now again, Pika's room, pretty daunting page, but here I've used a lot more variation of colour. Now I think it looks more real in that having a mishmash of colours and items and different things would make more sense for someone that collects shiny things, whereas this I made it easier by just making everything gold on red. So there is quite the difference, and the furniture is different colours in this, whereas I did it all the same colour here to make it easy. Now in this one I've drawn in, if you look, some wooden panels on the back of the wall, which is quite interesting, whereas here I just did it all in the same pencil. Now you can see quite the difference here, where I've come on, I think, in my colouring from there to here. This is a series of videos if you want to follow along. This was just me learning, really. They are quite difficult shapes to colour, I have to say. So, yeah. Now here, though, this is very interesting. I'm looking at this page. This page is really good, I think. These are gemstones done using a Helen Elliston tutorial from one of her books. I recognise the tutorial style. I think this is done from one of her tutorials too. So I think I was really carefully following tutorials here. And look at those berries. They look lovely. Such bright, intense colours. Look at that stone. Really pretty. And this one, these look like tutorials from Helen Elliston or Jennifer Zimmerman. So there's a lot of prettiness going on here. Even the spoon has got some reflection in it from this gemstone. It's like, wow. Whereas this page, I rushed. I wasn't so keen on all the little details. I wasn't really in the mood for them, so I did them quite quickly in red and gold. So it really shows. Now these are really different. I like both pages. I had a go at doing white-ish flowers there, and did the compass in what I felt would be the correct colour with wood and gold and the casing. Whereas here I used harmonious pencils, so I had a very limited colour palette, and did this page as a series of videos. I'd say I prefer this page to this one. Just like the red mushroom. This is done in Prismacolor. This is done in polychromos, I think. Now our little elves. Now these are very colourful. Their eyes are a bit scary. But these guys, I didn't colour in their eyes because The irises are so big. These I kept to a more limited colour palette. I'm not sure which I prefer, to be honest. Sometimes limited is nice. The honey pots over here are really similar. This one has got a tutorial, and these I think. But it's not surprising when you have an item that sort of has a colour. Now this is interesting. So this one, look how similar it is. Really, really similar in those colours. But this one here, what I've done is I've tried to make the moon look like it's shining and done some light coming out of it. It's quite strange. And I've silhouetted the stars and things on the outside, and then everything here I've gone over in a white pen to make it sit back a bit. I think that's quite an interesting idea. And I've done a background. I'm trying to work out what I've done here. There's sort of weird splodges. I don't know if I've tried to do a bokeh and then given up or something. I'm not sure what's going on there. Anyway, interesting. Now again, quite a daunting page with the background. This one I've coloured in this way, and it looks like it's raining green rain, which is, we all learn, don't we? Whereas this one, I've done it this way. I don't know if it's any better, to be honest. Lots of bright colours and lots of different coloured items in this one, whereas I tried to keep to a more limited colour scheme on this one. Not sure which works better, really. And we have a similar situation here where I did the same colour here, whereas I did different colours here. I think that one looks better. And these dragons, these are done with Stedler, I can tell. I did them in greens. I do prefer a green dragon, but I wanted to change the colour through the book a bit on this one. It keeps it more interesting, I think. Now the forget-me-nots really similar. I didn't do a background on those. I think the background really helps here. It just helps to frame those words a bit better. Now here I've done a really good attempt at gold look on the wings. It looks rather good. I think I'm improving there. Oh, this is pretty. This is quite dull compared to this. We've got all those different autumnal colours, lots of different florals, even the berries are more than one colour. That's lovely. Well done me. Now this one I did my rainbow, and then I took all the colours from the rainbow to put into the different items on the page. I've missed out that bit there. Anyway, on here I didn't do that. I've done the buildings in sort of brick colour, I guess. And the rainbow's the other way round. That's got the red on the top, red on the bottom. The two bees are quite different. This one's a video, but that one's pretty nice too. Oh, I did a similar thing here where I did the bees all the same. This one, the wings are just a very pale grey, whereas here I did the wings in a glitter pen. Which I don't know if I discovered glitter pens back in the day. These are interesting to compare. We have quite a lot of different colours going on. The acorn is obviously quite similar. The backgrounds here are really, really light. You can barely see some of them, like this one. They're a little bit more dark here. This page is video, so you can follow along, whereas this one isn't. And I don't know about this green and purple. What's that all about? Okay, we are heading towards the tree house, and this one I've done very autumnal looking oak leaves. A little bit on these, but not quite so much. Flowers are quite similarly coloured, which is interesting. Now there's a bit of scribbly colouring on that one. So this one I did my background with soft pastels. This one I did it in pencil, and I tried to make it look a bit like there was some brick, and then there was a bit of light around each one, and then darker under it. It's quite messy, but it was an experiment, you know, and I did each bug a different colour. This one's quite similar though. Now this was a bit of a disaster. Oops, it doesn't want to stay open. So I tried to do a black Posca pen background, but you can see all the stripes and lines from the pen. It really didn't look very neat at all. I'm wondering whether I could have done with a bigger nib, but then the page is so detailed that I wouldn't have been able to do that, and I had to draw back in. See these lines here, I had to draw them back in with the silver pen because I penned over them. So, and I hoped that the black would make everything really stand out. I'm not sure whether it really has worked, but anyway, it was an experiment. Also, it's transferred onto the other page a bit, which is quite interesting. But this one, yeah, I've done a different colour chandelier because I remember that one and thought I wanted to do it gold. I don't think either is particularly good, to be honest. I find them really hard. Now, we have interesting here. I've just released this as a series of videos to follow along to. This was my original attempt, and what's quite interesting are certain aspects. The brick background, I really liked that. I got a video on how to do brick backgrounds. That one's a bit funny. But I decided on this one to use a stencil instead because I felt like this, the background took too much away from the foreground. It was too, whereas here I felt I wanted it to sit back a little bit. In both cases, our tapestries look like they're just sort of suspended in from the ceiling rather than hanging up against the wall. They need some shadow. But anyway, never mind. But we've got all our treasures and things. I felt like doing this unicorn in pastels was a mistake. So I didn't do that for this one. But it's really interesting to compare the two. Colours are pretty similar. It's not really surprising. Yeah, I was sort of learning how to do the coins. I did shadow in different places. They're done in a little bit more of a sophisticated way than these, but I tried to make these a bit easier. Oh yeah. Now Dragon Queen. Here, this one I really like in some ways. I think she looks pretty cool. I like her colours better, but I still don't think that bluey green and the olive green works together. I don't know why I did that. The flames look good on both, I think, really. This sword looks much better in gold than this sort of shabby silver thing, but that's interesting. Both backgrounds have got a sort of scribbly grey smoky look. This one I really, really liked. I had such fun colouring it and doing a little bit of background and everything. So when I did this one I was a bit daunted because I knew I'd done a really nice job of this one. But I just had a go. Now here we've got some gold, which isn't particularly shiny looking. I did shiny silver on this one. These pearls are quite nice. Again, our goblet isn't very gold. It's just a bit meh. Whereas this one I think is better. It could be better still, but it's getting there. There's a video, a tutorial for that page. Now this is interesting. On this one I decided to do my butterflies all different colours, and I actually looked up butterflies online and what colours they were to get a few ideas, like this one and this one. They're copied from sort of real ones. Whereas here I just did them all sooty. Now again we've got a brick wall in the background both times. This one using the stencil, and I didn't put it everywhere, just in a few places. That helps the foreground to stand out, I think. These dragons look much better though. They're much more thickly coloured, and we have dark coloured bugs there. And now we have this one. Now on this page I wanted to make this house bit in the centre look like a brooch or sort of enamel, so I put some cracks across it and some shine on the corners. I don't know how well it worked, but I really like that page and the florals and the background. This one's completely different. It is okay, it's different. These are quite similar. I wanted to make them look sort of smoky, so they both look a little bit dirty. I mean, this page is quite dirty from there, but you know, my kids have come down loud. Now I love this. Really pretty. I really like the colours that I used here. Not at all keen here. Similar colours. It's just a lack of vibrancy. Though I think I used all the colours that I'd used in the butterfly in the heart, and I just really like that. I just couldn't get it to look as good. Oh, this is interesting. Here I used a tutorial for gold. Here I used a tutorial for silver. So we've got different colours. I think the silver one looks better. but that's just me. My son is so loud. Anyway, so again we have like really bright coloured butterflies, and interestingly, rather than colouring in the empty space, which I did here, I coloured in the outline instead. That's really interesting. So I did it a bit differently. But this is lovely and bright and cheery. This one's done with Staedtler and a little bit pale. Might have been part of the problem. Now this was one of my first times at doing a skin tone. It doesn't look too bad. I don't know what pencils I used. But I know in the background I used a blue metallic pen. I matched them up a bit here like I did on this one. Now here we go with this page. Now this page has been a little tutorial series. This page hasn't. I'll do a tutorial for that page when the page comes up in next year's planner. But these are interesting. I love the sea in there and the sunrise on the boat. I've done it in the background instead on that one. How interesting. But we didn't do backgrounds on that. I did a little vague background on this side. Dragon Queen is green again. This one, I had a greetings card with a background that looked like that, and I was inspired and I copied it. It took me days and days to do that, and I'm still really pleased with it. It looks a bit random and mad, but I just, you know, I know how much effort went into it, and I think it's just really interesting. You know, layers of colour, layers of blending pencil, all that sort of thing. And Dragon Queen looks quite cool. Again, I'm not very keen on her colours, but she has to be the same colour all the way through. This Dragon Queen, I like her colours. They're rather fun. It looks like I should have coloured that in. I did on there, I coloured that bit as wing. I thought, yeah, it should be, oh well. And we have leaves. Now we have our sort of scary pictures. Now here I've really only coloured them with the black background, which is a bit dull. Here I did sort of bright backgrounds, and this is a whole video series here. This is interesting. Look at, I remember cursing that background, wishing I'd never started. It took so long and it still doesn't look amazing, but anyway. Didn't bother with them on there. Oh, we made our two butterflies match here, and just took the colours from that one into that one, and with the gold pen around. These two are just done differently with Black Widow pencils. Ah, pastel. I must use my coarse pastel pencils for that. It's quite pretty, isn't it? And then this one's done quite carefully. That's nice. Not so keen on this two. Now, how do we do our leaves? Ah, these were a bit better, I think, than this one. But yeah. And then this page is a video tutorial series. These aren't quite as good. They're quite flat, aren't they? These are much more vibrant and things. Oh yes, I remember this one. This one, I wanted to do something really daring, and I think it's hideous. So when I did this one, I tried something a bit different. I really like this though. That's really pretty. I think that might be a tutorial, not that. Or is that one? One of them is. That's really pretty. Getting near the end. There is the end page. I did very similarly, where I kept all the flowers the same colour, but I did a gold and silver butterfly because I thought it would be special for the last page. And here is a few nice scribble. I think I was testing out my blending solution there. And there we have it. The very last page with all the glue coming unstuck, but this one hasn't yet. So there we go. So there are the two versions of the book. So that was very interesting. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If there are any pictures that you want to know if I've done a tutorial, or if I mentioned I had done one, you can't find it, let me know in the comments. I will point you in the right direction. Yes, what else is there to say? Please like, subscribe and follow, and hopefully you'll drop in on another video. Thank you so much for watching, and happy colouring.